7 Creatine mistakes you must avoid. Creatine is one of the most researched supplements in the world, yet most people still mess it up. Not because creatine doesn't work, but because small mistakes quietly ruin the results without people realizing it. If you've ever taken creatine and thought, "Why isn't this doing anything?" or wondered, "Why do I feel off?" you're not alone. Most of the frustration around creatine comes from misunderstanding how it works, how long it takes, and what it actually supports. Creatine isn't dramatic. It doesn't hit like caffeine or fix bad habits overnight. It works slowly, subtly, and consistently, but only when it's used correctly. In this video, we're breaking down the 7 most common creatine mistakes people make. Mistakes that cause bloating, confusion, stalled progress, or quitting too early. Fix these, and creatine finally becomes the simple, effective tool it's meant to be. But before we begin, drop your name and the city you're watching from in the comments below. Alright, let's get started. Number 1. Expecting instant results. Creatine isn't caffeine, and that confuses a lot of people, especially first-time users. Most supplements people are familiar with create an immediate sensation. You take them, and you feel something. A buzz, a rush, and a clear signal that it's working. Creatine doesn't play that game. You don't take creatine once and suddenly feel a surge of energy. There's no instant feedback. Instead, creatine works by slowly saturating your muscle cells with usable energy over time. This process typically takes 1 to 3 weeks of consistent daily use. During that period, changes are happening internally, even if you don't feel them yet. The mistake is expecting a feeling instead of understanding the process. After a few days, people say, "I don't feel anything," and assume creatine is useless. So they stop. Ironically, they quit right before creatine starts delivering its real benefits: improved strength, better recovery, and less fatigue during repeated efforts. Creatine rewards consistency, not impatience. Its effects show up in performance, not sensations. You might notice you can do an extra rep, recover faster between sets, or feel less drained during daily movement. These are subtle changes that build over time. When you understand that creatine works quietly in the background, expectations shift. You stop chasing a feeling and start paying attention to results. That mindset change alone is often the difference between people who say creatine did nothing and those who swear by it. Number 2. Using way too much. More is not better, it's just harder on your body, and this is one of the most common creatine mistakes. A lot of people assume that bigger doses mean faster results, so they scoop far more than they need or jump straight into aggressive loading phases. On paper, it sounds efficient. In reality, it often backfires. Your muscles can only absorb a limited amount of creatine at a time. Once those storage sites are full, any extra doesn't speed up progress. It simply sits in your digestive system or gets excreted. That's where bloating, cramps, diarrhea, and general stomach discomfort come from. The supplement gets blamed, but the real issue is overdosing. Loading phases can work for some people, but they dramatically increase the chance of side effects. For most people, especially those over 40 or 50, the discomfort isn't worth it. A slower, steadier approach delivers the same results with far less stress on the body. A simple daily dose of around 3 to 5 grams is enough to fully saturate muscle stores over time. It may take a little longer, a few weeks instead of a few days, but the long-term benefits are identical. Strength improves, recovery gets better, and energy availability increases. Creatine works best when it's boring and consistent. No massive scoops, no aggressive shortcuts. When you keep the dose reasonable, creatine becomes easier to tolerate, easier to stick with, and far more effective in the long run. Number 3. Ignoring hydration. This is the mistake that gets blamed on creatine unfairly, and it causes more people to quit than it should. Creatine pulls water into your muscle cells. That's not a flaw. It's the entire mechanism behind better strength, performance, and recovery. Hydrated muscle cells simply work better. The problem starts when fluid intake doesn't change. If you're taking creatine but drinking the same amount of water as before, dehydration can sneak up on you. Headaches, muscle cramps, fatigue, dizziness, or a general off feeling may appear. When that happens, creatine becomes the obvious suspect. But creatine isn't dehydrating you. It doesn't pull water out of your body, it redistributes water inside it. When overall hydration is low, circulation, muscle contraction, and recovery all suffer, and those symptoms get mislabeled as side effects. This is especially common in people who train, sweat more, drink a lot of coffee, or simply forget to hydrate consistently throughout the day. One glass of water around workouts isn't enough. Hydration is an all-day habit. The fix is simple. Drink more fluids consistently, not just when you're thirsty, and not just during exercise. When hydration matches creatine use, those uncomfortable symptoms usually disappear quickly. Once hydration is handled properly, creatine feels smoother, recovery improves, and performance benefits become more noticeable. In most cases, the problem isn't creatine, it's water. Number 4, letting the scale scare you. This one makes people quit too soon, and it usually happens within the first couple of weeks. You step on the scale, see it's up a pound or two, and panic sets in. Instantly, the mind jumps to fat gain, losing progress, or doing something wrong. In reality, what you're seeing is mostly water stored inside your muscle cells, exactly what creatine is supposed to do. Creatine pulls water into muscles, increasing hydration at the cellular level. That hydration makes muscles contract more efficiently, recover faster, and handle stress better. It also cushions joints and connective tissue, which becomes more important as you get older. None of that shows up clearly on a bathroom scale. The mistake isn't the weight change. The mistake is letting a single number override everything else. The scale can't tell you whether weight is water, muscle, or fat. It doesn't reflect strength, energy, or recovery. Yet, people let it dictate decisions anyway, so they cut calories, add extra cardio, or quit creatine altogether. All of those reactions sabotage progress far more than a harmless water weight increase ever could. Fat gain requires a sustained calorie surplus over time. It doesn't happen overnight from a supplement. The smarter approach is to watch performance and how you feel. Are lifts smoother? Is daily movement easier? Are joints feeling better supported? Those are the real indicators. Once you understand what creatine-related weight actually represents, the fear disappears. The scale stops being a trigger, and creatine finally gets the time it needs to deliver real benefits. Number 5. Overdoing workouts because you feel stronger. Strength improves before your body is fully ready, and this is one of the most misunderstood effects of creatine. Creatine helps muscles produce energy more efficiently, so movements feel easier, and strength increases sooner than expected. Reps go up, weights feel lighter, confidence climbs, and that's where people get into trouble. Muscles adapt relatively fast. Joints, tendons, and connective tissue do not. These structures need more time and consistent loading to strengthen safely. When strength jumps ahead of structural readiness, the risk isn't creatine itself, it's how people respond to that early strength boost. Feeling stronger can trick you into thinking your entire body is prepared for more. Extra sets get added, training frequency increases, warm-ups get rushed or skipped, and recovery gets ignored because you feel fine. Small aches are brushed off because performance still looks good. That's where problems start. Joint soreness, tendon irritation, and nagging pains often show up weeks later, not immediately. By then, creatine gets blamed, even though the real issue was reckless progression. Creatine doesn't protect you from bad decisions. It supports smart training. Progressive overload, proper warm-ups, adequate recovery, and listening to early warning signs still matter, especially as you get older. Used correctly, creatine helps you train better and recover more consistently. Used carelessly, it magnifies mistakes. Respect the gap between feeling strong and being structurally ready, and creatine becomes a powerful tool instead of a silent liability. Number 6. Thinking creatine works without movement. Creatine isn't magic, and this is where expectations quietly derail results. Creatine doesn't create strength or movement out of thin air. It supports the energy systems your muscles use when you actually move. If you're completely inactive, there's very little for creatine to enhance. Some people take creatine expecting it to fix low energy, muscle loss, or poor fitness on its own. When nothing changes, they assume the supplement failed. In reality, creatine needs a signal movement. Even light resistance training, walking, bodyweight exercises, or regular daily activity gives creatine something to work with. You don't need intense workouts or heavy lifting. Consistency matters far more than intensity. Simple movements performed regularly allow creatine to improve energy availability, recovery, and muscle function. Without that stimulus, creatine just sits there, underused. The mistake is expecting a supplement to replace effort instead of enhance it. Creatine is a support tool, not a shortcut. It amplifies good habits. When movement is present, creatine makes that movement feel easier, more sustainable, and more productive. When movement is absent, results stay minimal. This is especially important as you get older. Walking, light resistance training, and basic mobility work are already powerful tools for health and strength. Creatine simply helps you get more out of those habits, not bypass them. When effort and supplementation work together, progress feels smoother and more consistent. When effort is missing, no supplement can fill the gap. Creatine works best when it's paired with movement, not used as a replacement for it. Number 7. Using creatine to cover bad habits. This is the biggest mistake of all, and it's the one that silently ruins results without people realizing it. If sleep is terrible, nutrition is inconsistent, and recovery is ignored, creatine won't save the day. No supplement can override a broken foundation. Creatine doesn't work in isolation. It supports energy production, muscle hydration, and recovery. But those systems only function well when the basics are in place. Poor sleep limits, muscle repair, and hormone balance. Inconsistent nutrition leaves muscles without the raw materials they need to adapt. Ignoring recovery builds fatigue faster than any supplement can offset. When progress stalls, creatine gets blamed. People assume the supplement stopped working or wasn't worth it. In reality, creatine is simply amplifying what's already happening. Good habits get slightly better, and bad habits become more obvious. Supplements don't fix lifestyles. They magnify them. That's the uncomfortable truth. Creatine works best when sleep is decent, protein intake is adequate, hydration is consistent, and movement is regular. Without those, results stay muted. This is why some people swear by creatine while others say it did nothing. The difference isn't genetics or luck, it's the foundation underneath. Creatine rewards consistency and punishes chaos. Once the basics are handled, creatine feels almost effortless. Recovery improves, strength gains stick, daily movement feels easier. But without sleep, food, and recovery, creatine becomes an expensive distraction instead of a powerful tool. So, here's the truth about creatine. It's safe and it's effective, but only when it's used correctly. Most creatine side effects aren't caused by creatine itself. They're caused by impatience, poor hydration, overtraining, or unrealistic expectations. Avoid these 7 mistakes, and creatine becomes one of the most reliable, affordable tools you can use for strength, energy, and recovery. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these mistakes have you made before? Or are you making right now? If you want a follow-up video on how much creatine to take, best timing, or how older adults should use creatine safely, hit like, subscribe, and tell me what you want next. I'll see you in the next video.